I'm Allie Craig, and I'm traveling across the country to fix the heartbeat of the modern economy, the entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs are like no other business. It isn't just about selling a product or a service, it's about selling the experience, the relationship, and speaking to the social stories that hold the hearts and subconscious minds of our audiences. And it's these fledgling brands that must be designed as much for their audiences as it is for their authors if they're going to break the statistics and make bank. Having fixed countless brands over the last 20 years and worked with hundreds more entrepreneurs, founders, and startups, I know that I need to do something radical to get these brands and their founders back on track. Because in this age of social media where everyone is a critic as well as an instant expert, your business and audience can boom or backfire overnight. If I have any hope of saving these brands and transforming their businesses, I have to get these entrepreneurs to embrace the experience they are really selling and escape the mindset that all they are is just an offer. Hey everyone, this is Allie Craig. This is Fix My Brand with Allie Craig, because guess what? We are obsessed with helping you build profitable and successful brands, no matter if they're fledgling, but let's make them some fierce competition. And to do that, you need to be smart about your legal, especially when it comes to your trademark. This is my actual trademark lawyer, Jamie Lieberman of #legal. Because trust me, after 20 years of working with brands and having my own business, you need a good lawyer on your side. This is the gal for you. I can promise you that because she's the gal for me. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm very excited.
Because guess what? No one understands trademark, copyright, and all those kind of legal stuff. So before we jump in and see what the brands struggled with so far on season 2 about their trademark and their legal, give us the difference between trademark, intellectual property, and copyright.
Those are great questions. So intellectual property is sort of the name that people use to describe what you talked about, trademark and copyright. So it's anything that comes into your brain that you want to protect. That's your intellectual property. Trademarks are essentially your brand name. So you have to look at trademarks from the consumer's perspective. A trademark is designed so that a consumer knows where their goods or services are coming from. So when you walk into a McDonald's, you know exactly what you're getting. And so if you have a name that describes goods or services that you're using, you may be eligible to register for a trademark. Not all names are eligible, and we'll talk about that. But there's a lot of research that's done on the front end before we go ahead and file a trademark. Copyright's a little bit different. Copyright protects original works that are, and here's my legalese, which I promise not to use too much of it, fixed in a tangible medium. So that just means you take a picture or you create a course or we make a beautiful television show, and you can register those original works of art with the Copyright Office and actually get a registration to help you protect your intellectual property.
And the whole reason to be doing any of this is because
it's so you can stop other people from using the works that you've created or the brand that you've created. By not registering, you do get some rights, not a lot though, and so you get so many more rights, and so it's so much easier to stop somebody from using your brand or your copyright protected work if you do get that registration.
Because in today's age where everything's online, everything's social media, I think people have lost their mind when it comes to realizing that there is intellectual property there, and just because someone posts it doesn't mean you can post it.
Oh yeah, that's a common one. Yeah, you always have to ask permission. You can't just take somebody's image or video that they created. You got to be careful about that.
Well, this season, Gina Bell struggled with trademark, and she took me up on my offer to say, please give Jamie a call, because we were going to go out with a business name, Creative Living with Gina Bell. Let's take a look. With Ginas New Brand, we were going out with Creative Living with Gina Bell, because that's exactly what she does. She helps people live creative lives, however that looks like for them. Well, that was all until about 2 weeks before her brand was to launch. Gina finally took me up on my advice of going to talk to a trademark lawyer, because let's be honest, in today's age, you have to make sure that you can use the terms safely and smartly for many reasons. One, you don't want to invest all this time and energy into a name that someone else already has trademark on, and you will get a cease and desist letter. Two, You don't want to use a name and not go after trademark when applicable, because someone else will go get the trademark on it and send you a cease and desist letter. This stuff happens. There's actually companies out there that all they do is search for entrepreneurs who are relatively successful and go trademark the names these entrepreneurs have not trademarked themselves. Gina was smart about this, and 2 weeks before launch, we got the call that we weren't going to be able to get the trademark for Creative Living with Gina Bell.
It's so easy, especially with Gina. Like, she loved Creative Living with Gina Bell. And you would think with having the with Gina Bell on it, it would be a distinction enough. But that isn't the case, at least anymore, if ever, when it comes to trademark law.
Yeah, so what happened was there were other existing trademarks that could be confused with that name. And so this is why it's so important before you pick a name or run to file for an application for a trademark that you do a lot of research. And so we spend a lot of time looking in the trademark databases, looking in other databases, looking in just the common usage of a name to see who is using a name. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the exact same name. It can also be a similar name. So it's important that you know what's out there before going forward, and you don't, you can. There are some ways to get around the same or similar, but it really takes some nuance, and it doesn't always work.
It's not worth the gamble.
No.
So like before you go, and I was so happy that Gina was willing, because sometimes brands love their name so much that they are stubborn, and on some point it's smart to be stubborn. In this case, I'm glad Gina wasn't, because we ended up finding a name that she enjoyed way more, that was way more free and clear without potential issues. Yes. Because before you're going to spend money on a website, on a logo, on graphics, and on print, you want to make sure you're on point. And this is from a branding person, not the trademark lawyer who's going to say the following phrase, which is, you want to hire a good lawyer. Do not try to use the online services where you can file it yourself, because you can't search enough. We search tests, which is just the general, but this girl finds things in her research, her magic research that she does for trademark, that you can't find when you're just doing general Google searches, general tests, the general stuff that I know about, so let alone what you know about. And this is where it really saves you time, money, energy, and heartache, because nothing is worse. And I've actually had brands who did not file their names. And so I make you sign a letter when that happens, because I'm not going to be responsible for this. And 3 years later, they still didn't file, and they got a cease and desist letter.
It happens.
And here's what's going to happen, guys. If that happens to you, your brand is either going to be dead in the water immediately, so kaput, or if you can even negotiate an agreement with the person who has the trademark, your brand's not going to be able to grow most likely. They're going to limit you to your state, your existing products or services, and so your brand is just going to slowly die, basically. You're going to starve it to death.
And you also don't want there to be confusion.
No.
I had a client in a different situation who had a name that was very distinct. There were no issues with it, but she never filed her mark. Then a copycat came along, and that copycat basically used almost the exact same name and added an extra letter. It was obvious that it was a copycat, and my client didn't do anything about it. She knew about it, and she waited for 2 years thinking, oh, I have this huge following, nobody's ever going to think we're the same person. She started to lose deals because of it. So she came to me 2 years later, and she had sat on her rights for so long. She had never filed the trademark. There was very little she could do at that point, and you really can lose business that way. There is true confusion sometimes.
And let's be honest, not all entrepreneurs are nice people. I like to work with the nice ones, but there's an awful lot out there who they're just looking for the quick buck.
Yep.
And if riding on your coattails and somehow tweaking your brand enough will take fame, glory, especially in this influencer-obsessed society that we're in, away from you, they're going to do it. And you're just being naive and not really bright if you don't protect your work, because clearly you then just don't care about it on some level. From a branding perspective, not a lawyer perspective on that one.
It's true. I really, one of the things I say to new entrepreneurs or someone who's just starting a brand is just put the line item in your budget. It's the same as web design. It's the same as working with someone to help you with your brand. It's the same as your logo. It's just all a part of really treating your business as a true business and protecting yourself.
And that's one reason why I always think if you're going to invest in doing trademarks, so like I love the people who comment on our show. Sometimes you comment things that I think are absolutely insane, though, ladies. Which is, oh, I'm going to go, I love Jamie. I found her. I'm going to hire her to trademark this. And I'm like, but do you even know if that's the right term to trademark? So let's actually see Sylvia in that situation. Let's check it out.
I want to finally build my school for women. And maybe, I don't know the name yet, maybe it's Sylvia's Success School, because I love the letter S and I love alliterations. Maybe it's a women's leadership school. And then I said something where we both got goosebumps. It's a school where women learn what the patriarchy didn't want them to know.
It is a way of being, it's a way of speaking, it's a way of having relationships, it's a way of living. This is where Sylvia's heart and passion lies. But in the end, with the three of us working together, with her Trinity code in mind, with her passion in mind, her audience in mind, her Neary and her neurohuman branding, we ended up figuring out the best name possible.
Drum rolls. For the moment, and for me it feels juicy, perfect and beautiful, the name of my school is Becker Hill, Women's Empowerment School for the Art of Evolutionary Living. Maybe in 20 years there will be Harvard and Oxford and Becker Hill. Why not? Why not?
So with Sylvia's school, will she be able to file trademark on it or not? That's up to Sylvia on that one. But here's the real cool thing. Evolutionary living. That was a phrase that she's always kind of said, always spoken of, and it's evolutionary living, but of course with Eve, from Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
And that's actually something that potentially could be trademarked. You know, my magazine Empire is her, Empire her, and so you can kind of be outside the box sometimes too.
Absolutely. The trademark office actually really loves that. When you look at a trademark and you consider it, you not only have to look at the likelihood of success, but you also have to look at how distinctive the name is. And so the trademark office loves fanciful names, which are like made up words like, say, Google or Xerox. And they like arbitrary names like Apple for computers. You know, apples are real, but they don't describe computers. So the more fanciful you can get, the stronger your mark can be. So it's really cool to do those plays on words that maybe would be a word that you've turned into something different. So those are great words to consider.
And great words for brands, because it becomes a distinctive hashtag, it becomes your own distinctive languaging, which helps you to create your community and your culture inside your brand.
Yes. And it's easy to police, which I love.
So let's talk about that, because once you actually get your mark, it doesn't mean your job is done, guys.
No. Oh, thank you so much for saying that. Everybody thinks that, like, I have the registration, I'm good to go. No, you have to be vigilant in making sure that nobody is infringing on your mark, because your trademark is only as strong as the amount you protect it. So you can actually lose marks or copyrights. If you let people use your intellectual property, you lose your rights on it. So it's important that you have monitoring services set up, whether you do it yourself or a lot of attorneys.
Don't do it yourself. Don't do it yourself. Hire somebody to do it, guys.
That's my, usually what I recommend, but people don't always listen.
Well, I appreciate it because I have a mark called Soulfire.
Yes.
And I've had Soulfire for a good number of years now, and then all of a sudden, we had someone who went to file.
Yep.
And I still don't know how in the world she just didn't do a Google search and saw that it was in use and was a registered trademark. But we had to fight it. And It's like, you need to protect your marks, because if you don't, especially when you're creating your own unique word, there's going to be very few ways that someone else can interpret it something completely wildly different. And so your definitions behind each of them are probably going to be too similar, especially that would create brand confusion.
Exactly. Yeah, that one in particular was way too close.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We said no, Jamie sent letters.
And it was done.
And it was done.
Yes.
But the thing is you don't have to trademark every single version of everything. And let's see how that played out with Lisa.
With Lisa's brand, our overarching theme is always about RFPs. So, together we discovered the RFP Success company. The RFP Success book. the RFP Success Institute. So everything is always framed under RFP Success because that is the term Lisa is trademarking. So moving forward with her brand, everything is very RFP Success conscious. What that does is it creates unity across all her platforms. Also, it's very clean and concise. Very much Lisa.
How can you not love Lisa Rahurk and the RFP Success Company Institute book, show, everything?
Yeah.
But what's so brilliant about it is that you don't have to trademark the RFP Success Company, the RFP Success Institute, the RFP Success book. You can actually just trademark certain phrases.
Because that's her brand, right? RFP Success describes all the things that she does. That's the true trademark, right? When a consumer sees RFP Success, whatever product or service Lisa's offering, they're gonna know it's Lisa because she's done, or you guys did, the lawyer, not the brander, but as just an average person who's looking at this branding, and I know that branding well, it works, you get it, you see it, and you know, and that's a trademark. That's what people don't understand. It's not just a name that you use. It truly has to describe a service or good. And so RFP Success is her true brand. It's what she does, and she does it in a lot of different ways, whether she's teaching people, writing her book, all those things.
And it creates cohesion within her brand, but also saves her a heck of a lot of money.
Sure.
Because you're not trademarking every single version that could be out there.
Right. And the other thing is the trademark office is going to make you do something called a disclaimer anyway, where she'd have to disclaim the word company. She can't trademark the word company. You can't trademark the word book or institute. Those things, unless, 9 times out of 10, I'm speaking in generalities because we're just giving general information.
Yeah.
As I have to say.
Disclaimer.
As I have to say. But yeah, I mean, the trademark office makes you disclaim, generally speaking, those words because they're generic words. They describe a thing. And so it's just so much better to have that, use that trademark, and then you add on what you need to add on. It works.
And you perfectly set up us for Neri. Check out this clip.
Here's the truth. In the end, no matter what in the world you're selling to another human being. A human being has to say yes to you. And for a human to say yes to you, you have to understand what really drives and what really motivates your human audience. Neuroemotional relationship intelligence. It's about having your brand be relatable in a deep way in which your audience wants you, needs you, and must have your brand. That's Neri.
So Neri is my trademark. And as you guys saw, it's neuroemotional relationship intelligence. But if you noticed in that clip, there's the cute little R by Neri, but there's only a little TM by neuroemotional relationship intelligence. Okay, tell them the difference, and then we can explain why we had to do it that way.
Sure. So Neri, well, I think I have to sort of explain.
Do it all.
I'm
Just
going to
do
put
it all
together.
I don't care. I'm an open book here, guys. That's everything. I'm an open book here.
So neuro-emotional relationship intelligence was what was considered to be a descriptive term. So it describes what it is. I'm going to slightly disagree on that one, but
we do disagree.
We don't agree. However, so I talked a little bit about earlier when we were talking about evolution, that the trademark office likes fanciful names or arbitrary names. There is what we call, and here's one of my favorite legalese terms, the spectrum of distinctiveness. I love it. It sounds way more important than it is. But essentially the trademark office really likes those fanciful arbitrary names. And then they don't like descriptive names. So when you are using a name to describe what you do, a common example are those parking garages, park and flies, you park and fly. That's descriptive. The trademark office doesn't want to allow you to protect that because then you're sort of taking it away from everybody else who may be doing that sort of service or good. And so neuro-emotional relationship intelligence was considered to be descriptive of what it is. But Neri, which is not anything. It's not, I mean, it does mean something in Italian, I learned. But
oh, there we go.
I know, but we don't use it that way.
No, we
so
don't.
It doesn't matter.
Hope it's good.
Yeah, it is. It's a color, I think. And anyone who speaks Italian, I'm sorry if I got that wrong. It's been a while. But yeah, so Neri doesn't mean anything. It means something to you because you've made it mean something. And that is why it gets such beautiful trademark protection, because you've made it yours. It's your brand. It describes something. And it's not a word that means anything.
So be creative, but also sometimes we're all too close to our own work.
Yeah.
Like we're all too close when it comes to creating a brand or the phrasing of something. So you need to have a partner, ideally a brander first, then a really good trademark lawyer second, to really sit down and say what makes sense. Because if you're going to go through this entire process of trademark and building a brand around it, you better bloody adore it, basically.
It's true. It really is. Changing is... You know better than me.
You don't want to change.
My worst conversation is when I have to call a client who's been using a name or is really excited about a name and have to tell them that I don't recommend that they use that name. Don't make me do that. It ruins my whole day. Well, I hate that.
Speaking of that, so you're going to see Cassandra Shepard in a couple of episodes from now. But Cassandra, we went through a couple of evolutions, not evolution, evolutions of her name. And then we had come across the idea of the driven girl because all of her audience is very driven. And so I'm, doing my general basics before we get lawyers involved just to make sure we don't waste lawyers' time or money. And, nothing comes up. Her lawyer does a search and we get a call saying, no, not happening. And what's so interesting is at this point, what is really out there for being used, you really have to be cautious because it's almost not what you would expect.
Yes.
So, point to be made on that is this, which is make sure that if you're really passionate about it, be clear that it's really what you want, and then also be clear that you're going to take really quick action to protect it.
Oh, can I tell you a story about that?
Please do.
So we did the search. I had a client, not one on the show, who had a name. She loved it. She used it. She came to me. I gave her the research. She waited. I followed back up. She waited. I then we agreed we're going to move forward. I then sent her the application. She waited a little. There were some delays. In between the time, and I'm talking it was maybe a month, in between the time I sent her the research and the time we filed the trademark, somebody filed for the exact same name. I know. And my client had priority of use. But the fight we ultimately could have stopped them from using it and had a big giant fight, but the amount of money to do that. And so we ended up having to enter into a coexistence agreement, but it was all this extra time. So it doesn't have to be the minute, but you shouldn't wait too long because it happens. That call I had to make was just
heartbreaking.
Oh, I felt so bad. But yeah.
Well, and even, we were just talking about common use. So I have a brand, or had a brand, I should say, that I thought the name was in common use. But then after Cassandra's little debacle, which you'll learn more about in a couple of episodes, I was like, Jamie, search every single one of my names and come to find out, even though I had been using it longer, someone actually trademarked that exact word for the exact thing I do. And so I'm like, okay, great. We're going to end this business and have to completely rebrand, relaunch. Hell, I've been doing it for 20 years. Never would have thought that name wouldn't have been anything but common use because it's literally a word you can look up in the dictionary and it means exactly what it means. Yep. But it went through in the trademark office, so my bad for not trying it. So learn from this girl's mistake and get a good lawyer to do the research fast. Even if you think, oh my gosh, it's a common use word, I'm using I'm using the color green exactly how you use the word green. You never know.
You never know. It's true. And it is really important that you have a lawyer who's a trademark lawyer, because trademark is a really nuanced area that you shouldn't just sort of dabble in. You should either do trademarks or not. And so it's important that whoever you choose a lawyer who has a good understanding of trademark law.
So then that actually leads me to one of the main questions we get asked, which is most people don't know anything about hiring lawyers or what to do about that. So how would you even start? How do you even know? Because some of them say entrepreneurial or they say business law, but they don't actually say, I do trademarks on their website. How do you know?
So I really recommend that you reach into your network. I think just asking people who maybe have trademarked or who just go into your network and say, hey, anybody have a good trademark lawyer? Most of the work that comes to me comes through referrals, and I think it's just because it's just an easy way. Going to a lawyer can be intimidating, it can be scary, and a lot of people just don't want to even do it, so they ignore it. The lawyer, whoever you get, whether you Google search or you reach into your network or you read an article with somebody, whoever they are, I always recommend getting on a call with them. Just a quick, free, complimentary consult, 10, 15 minutes. You guys can get to know each other and go with your gut.
Yes.
If you don't feel comfortable, don't hire them, even if they seem like they're incredibly qualified, because you should feel comfortable, like having a cup of coffee or a drink or whatever you drink with your lawyer. It should be okay. They should be a partner in your business and someone who can help you grow. So just make sure you feel good about them.
And that's actually one of the things Jamie and I did. I had already hired you to do some kind of work, trademark or contracts or something, and I was going to be in the city anyway. And you're like, let's get up together for dinner. And I think it was so great because there are so many industries like law, like CPAs, that you're almost intimidated to go talk to them. Like, you don't want to be honest with them. It's like going to the doctor. You're like, I can't say that I actually do that because, like, the doctor will judge. The lawyer shouldn't judge, and you shouldn't be feeling judged. And from a brand perspective, or my own personal experiences over 20 years of doing my own, having trademarks filed, I've gone through many lawyers before I met the amazing Jamie. Will never change again. But here's what I learned. Number one, don't pay by the hour, because you will have a trademark bill like you've never expected. Make sure all the research and everything is included. Make sure the filing price is included, and any other potential conversations back and forth. Because literally, my first trademark ever cost me almost 10 grand. Oh. All because I did not know any of that when it comes to hiring the lawyer I hired. And we had to go through 3 lawyers to get one trademark to come through, because one wasn't just a trademark lawyer first, then one died, can't help that one. And then the other one, it was hourly. It wasn't, and I thought, how much could the bill go? Yeah, it went really, really high.
Yeah. And this is what gives lawyers a bad name. This is what drives me crazy. Like, you should not be surprised by a legal bill. You should know what's coming. I don't like that.
But far too often, I kind of still find that that's the majority that's out there when it comes to us entrepreneurs. And I think as entrepreneurs, because many of us don't have the degrees and the doctors and the letters behind our names, we feel like, well, who are we? Because they're lawyers.
Yeah.
They're people.
Yeah.
Just like your doctors, they're people.
It's so true. And they shouldn't use legalese, and we should make it easy and accessible, and it shouldn't be scary, and there should never be judgment. Ever, ever, ever. The things my clients tell me, I'm like, we're cool. That was the past. Now we're going in the future.
We're going to fix the mistakes.
We're going to fix it. Yeah, but there never should be any judgment. I need utter honesty. When a client lies to me and I don't know about it, I can't fix it. But I can fix it if I know the real, like, painful truth. Yeah. There are painful truths.
So find a lawyer that you feel that ridiculously comfortable with and know exactly what you're getting into, and realize that they need you and you need them. Yeah. It's an equal relationship. No one actually has power in this relationship.
No, not at all. I mean, I really view myself as a partner. Like, I am here to help you build your business and to build everything that you're doing and to protect you. And that's important to me. So if you find Jamie's perspective on law and trademark as refreshing as I do, you have a podcast. It is? I do, the Fearless Business Podcast.
And you're speaking across multiple stages in the next coming weeks,
I am.
Which are?
Yeah, so I'm speaking at the Dad 2.0 Summit, Alt Summit, Mom 2.0, Women in Travel Summit. We got a whole bunch. I'm pretty excited.
So if you want to catch up more about trademark, dip your toe into the world that is #legal, Jamie Lieberman, this is how you can do it. And then if you're serious about getting your work out there, building your brand successfully, you need trademark. This is the girl. If you want to know who I recommend, here she is sitting right next to me, okay? Not paid in any way, shape, or form, because I don't believe in affiliates. I just believe in honest truth. So thank you, Jamie, so much for joining us. And guess what? Next week, we are doing a group conversation. Sylvia Becker-Hill, the amazing Dr. Megan Todd, and Gina Bell, because we are all talking about that you can be creatively brilliant and have the most creative brands, because those 3 ladies do. But that doesn't mean that sometimes the fear of getting your brand out there and the fear of getting and marketing your brand doesn't hit you. So we're going to be talking about how in the world you can overcome that, even if you have the most creative and wonderful brand that Instagram should love, but you're scared to death to post about it. So thanks, guys. We'll see you live next week, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Facebook for our 24-hour Facebook exclusive. See you then.